Let's go.
This is turning into one of the weirdest shows I've ever done. It really is.
Catch me if you can, goddammit. Catch me if you can. You hear me?
Will Noonan's so funny and I'm after him, so I guess I'm after Noonan.
You're listening to Hypothetically with Will Noonan.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is where you are. Thank you for listening to Hypothetically with Will Noonan. That's me. I'm coming at you right now from almost the same exact spot I was coming at you from last week on the podcast. I'm on Newbury Street in Boston. I'm across the street from where I was last week. It's a whole week later. I think maybe 6 days. I'm about to do McGreevy's again and work on some shit. And I figure, what a great time to do this podcast. I just had a meeting about an exciting new project I'm working on. Can't tell you guys about it. It's in the pilot stage, but it's going to be really cool. I'm working with some fucking awesome people. Some of them I've worked with before. Some of them I haven't worked with before. And it's very exciting. We're shooting that tomorrow and Wednesday. So keep your eyes on Twitter and Instagram for that kind of stuff. But, you know, that's just business. But yeah, things have been a little bit busy. I'm not making a lot of fucking money right now. This is weird. Every Christmas time, every December, since I've been doing comedy since the beginning, like since I started working as a comic, you know, emceeing, featuring, headlining, I started doing it for money. I always worked my ass off in November, December. This year, November worked a lot. December's kind of fallen off. I had a bunch of cancellations at the beginning of the month, like literally 8 or 9 gigs that I had in the calendar fell through for one reason or another. And I was kind of bummed because it was like I had turned down things. It was basically December 1st when I found out a lot of this information. Gigs like this week and next week were canceled, so I was like, fuck. Luckily, I got all the Christmas shopping done and stuff, but some money I was sort of counting on didn't come through, so that's always a bummer. You know, you wonder why people get stressed around the holidays. It's like, well, you throw in a huge expense that's never there, which is buying gifts for lots of people. I love doing it, and I like, you know, buying good gifts, and that's kind of the problem, because you're like, fuck. Spent a ton of money on gifts, but it's good to know that almost everyone else is going through the same thing. Anyone who's not just a straight up rich person is also like, fucking hey man, spending a lot of money this month. I know I don't even drink, but if you drink, forget about it. You're out, you're partying, you're tipping bartenders, you're buying drinks, buying close acquaintances drinks. It's like, holy shit, you're spending money every single day. So it can be an expensive time of the year, and a lot of people get stressed around the holidays. We're only 1 week to the day away from Christmas Day right now, and you know, that can stress people out. I'm not feeling it too bad, but I was kind of bummed I'm not that busy. I like to be busy around the holidays, and I kind of was up until I don't know, maybe yesterday. No, not yesterday. And up until last week, things kind of started to slow down. I didn't really have a gig last Friday. I just went into Nick's Comedy Stop and hung out and went and saw Tim McIntyre headline. Tim McIntyre, one of my favorite guys in the city of Boston. One of my favorite comics, too. When I first moved up here, he co-owned a comedy club called Motley's, but they kind of got fucked over on that deal from the place they were renting from, and long story short, didn't work out. But Tim's a great comic. He's often mentioned on the Joe Rogan Experience, because Rogan really liked the Room Motley's, and he really liked Tim McIntyre, so he talks about him a lot. But it was great to go hang out. I was just going to go hang out, and Tim was like, why don't you do a couple minutes? And then Mike Dorval was there, and Miguel Perez. It was just a fun hang. James Husey. Can't forget anybody once you start naming names. But it was a really fun hang. Janet McNamara was there, my good friend Janet, who I love dearly. It was always great to see. She didn't do any stand-up, sadly. I love her stand-up. I don't get to see it often enough, but it was a good night. And Nick's is weird now. It's like on Friday it's pretty light, and then Saturday's packed. So I wasn't there Saturday, but I heard it was great. But we had fun anyway. And the 12 or 13 people that showed up on Friday night were mighty, and a very good crowd. So we had a lot of fun. So thanks for letting me on your show, Tim McIntyre. And he's a great Twitter follow, and just a great dude. A great dude to talk comedy with. He's given me some good advice. But Tim's like, he's not coming at you a lot of the time like, I'm this old wise comedian guy, even though he's been doing it a long time. He often comes at you kind of like as an equal, even when like we were so far from equals. He always like talked to me like, what do you think about this? Even back when I really stunk and I was like an open micer, he's open to like people's ideas and stuff like that. He's not one of those guys who's like, well, you don't know anything because you're new. He's like, everybody knows a little something. I might be putting a lot on Tim here, projecting a lot of my things, but I remember like a very specific moment with T-Mac when I was like doing Motley's, and I just learned the term meta, like meta comedy, like a basic making a joke about the joke. And I just like learned that term, and I was throwing around, and I said meta in front of Tim, and he very politely was just like meta and moved on. Did not make fun of me, did not draw any attention to it, but corrected me so I didn't do it again. But didn't embarrass me for it. And I always that was like when he barely knew me, and I always remember thinking, sign of a good man, sign of a good comedian, a nice gentleman to do something like that. And also, he gave me spots at Motley's and gave me hosting spots at Motley's when I probably wasn't ready for him, but I think he knew I was passionate and serious about this whole fucking thing, and that's the kind of guy Tim is. Good fucking guy. So check him out on all his shit. I just retweeted him like 10 seconds ago because he was talking about our weekend, or his weekend that I intruded upon one day. But it was funny. The Thunder from Down Under were upstairs from us. The male strippers from Australia. They were upstairs. But yeah, he's Timmy Mac, MAC on Twitter. Great Twitter follow, and a very funny dude. You should definitely go see him. He's kind of like a little bit of a secret stand-up now because he's very busy. He's a foster parent, and works a full-time job to support his family, and he does jujitsu, which he's like super into. He's doing like tournaments now and stuff. So comedy's like this thing he does and has always done. But I don't think it's as much of his main focus as it used to be. So he doesn't always do shows. It's not like he's out there every weekend. Kind of picks and chooses where he wants to work. So if you see the name Tim McIntyre on a flyer or something, maybe go, oh shit, this is kind of a special guy I should go see. He's not just out there all the time fucking hacking it up like the rest of those chump comedians. He's just doing his favorite parts. I don't know. That trailed off into nothing. But yeah, that was Friday night. Saturday night I had a bummer of a show. Wasn't really anyone's fault as far as like, the people that ran it or the place it was, but it was just like a bummer for me. I took an MC gig, which I always fucking regret. I don't do them very often anymore, other than Capo, but Capo's a little different. Capo. I guess it's supposed to be Capo, but I think that ship has sailed as far as my brain is concerned. It's Capo forever. To me and a lot of people in Southie. we're fucking Boston people. Capo. It's Capo. What are you going to make me sound like a fancy pants? Italian language? What do you think? So... I do host that show, but it feels a little different. It's my show. I get to start it off. I get to kind of, it's not my show. It's a John Tobin Presents fucking production, but I host it every week. So it feels a little different, I guess. But even then, MCing's a tough fucking job, But I don't usually MC on the weekends. Almost fucking never, unless it's like some big charity thing that I'm kind of like, or some sort of showcase that it's like, it's like it's like a cool thing to do or an honor or something like that, but I don't just MC 3-person comedy shows very often. But this guy booked me, fucking blew all this smoke up my ass. He's like, yeah, man, I know you're not an MC, and I know you're headlining and stuff, but, like, I'm going to pay you good money to MC because that's how important this show is. And Christine Hurley's going to be featuring, and she's a headliner too, so all you guys are really headliners, and blah, 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 which I don't think this guy was lying to me. I don't think he was being untruthful when he said that, but when it all comes down to it and it's showtime, the truth is, like, all that stuff is bullshit, and you're the MC. And that means you gotta kind of do some bitch work of comedy, like know when people are on and off and fucking what time they went on, and people are asking you that, and you kind of gotta keep one eye on the stage at all times. You can't really relax. You gotta, like, fucking people who have had 6 glasses of wine are coming up to you and can you just mention that it's so-and-so's birthday? And people who are actually official are like, tell them to do the comment cards and to make sure you plug the TripAdvisor comment section. And I'm like, bro. That's when you start feeling like Mr. Snobby Comedian. I'm like, dude, I'm fucking closing shows now. Most of my weekends are nice. Are you really hitting me up about the TripAdvisor comment section right now? It's been a long time since I plugged comment cards. That's comedy for you. It'll always humble your ass, man. You start to feel like, hey, I know some famous comedians. I'm on some radio shows. Yeah, fuck you. Sip of coffee for the working man. But that was Saturday, and it wasn't like, the guy's a nice guy who booked it, so I don't want to say where it was, make him sound like he's not a nice guy, but it was just like, it was one of those things where I was happy I had the gig, actually, because, like I said, a lot of shit got canceled, and I was just trying to fill my book, so I took this MC gig that had sort of an asterisk next to it that was like, you're really a headliner, but, I fell for the bullshit. He paid me all right, but there was some confusion there as well. Excuse me, burp into the mic. I don't do that very often, but it was a coffee burp too, which is like, of all burps, one of the grossest. Of all burps, a top 10 doozer. That felt like a Christmassy National Lampoon type thing to say. That burp was a top 10 doozer. That's right, Rusty. Now let's go pick out a Christmas tree. It's Christmas time. What's your favorite Christmas song? A chick asked me the other day what my favorite Christmas song was, and I said, Oh, Christmas Tree, because I couldn't really think of anything. And it is one of my favorites, but then I heard my favorite Christmas song in a store today, and instantly remembered, oh, this is my favorite Christmas song, which is Feliz Navidad, bum bum, Feliz Navidad, bum bum bum. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart. Bum 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 bum. Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, j'avance du temps, Feliz Navidad. I got a little French there at the end. Feliz Navidad, bon bon bon. Feliz Navidad, hey something. Feliz Navidad, I am a fucking Frenchman, and I fucking finger my mom. Pardon, ça c'est vrai? I finger my mother. In France, it is not that weird of a thing to do. It's how we prepare our fingers for strangers' vaginas. We start with our mothers. What is a big deal? Man. Speaking of Artie Lang, I don't know if I was talking about him at all, but I keep thinking about him because I feel bad for him because he's going through some shit. He's going through dog shit right now. He's got some drug and alcohol problems, and he's He's got some drug and alcohol. Well, I don't know if it's alcohol at all, really. I think it's just drug. He's got some drug issues. He's open about them, obviously. But had an arrest. That was in the media. Got arrested, and I think he's heading off to rehab. But I don't really know what's going on. But I can tell you from someone who's quit something, and I don't mean cigarettes. When you quit something like you're dependent on, it fucking blows. And I couldn't imagine doing it around Christmas time. I imagine that blows even a little bit more. I feel bad for the guy, man. I can't imagine what he's going through, but it's just he's an insanely resilient human being. Just being a fan of that dude's for all these years. What a resilient guy. He's survived so fucking much. He's done so much. And I only saw him a month or two ago, and while he did not look super great, did not look like a guy whose life was in such disarray that he'd be missing court dates and, ended up going to rehab and stuff. So that's a bummer, and I feel bad for Kumia and the people at Compound Media because they've invested not only a lot of money, but a lot of time and a lot of their kind of heart and soul into the new show and into promoting the new show and advertising and marketing the new show. So I feel bad for them too. A lot, obviously Artie's health is like everyone's number one concern and stuff like that. But I think people forget that, this affects a lot of people down the line too. Serious thought, then a sip of coffee. So, I don't know, something I sort of thought of. Like that's a little tough for them to deal with. I don't know, speaking of like addiction type things and stuff like that, it's been funny. I've been thinking a lot about I've noticed this time of year is when people tend to, they're drinking a lot because it's Christmas season and it's like the Christmas parties and all that shit, and you gotta drink a lot, so you're at party after party after party, so you drink a little bit each time just to kind of get a little loose at each party, and then before you know it, you drink a little bit more, and then you're fucking shit-faced, and then you're like, man, I've been shit-faced 6 nights in a row, and I feel like shit, but you got 3 more parties to go to, and then you're like, well, if I'm gonna keep going to these fucking parties, I might as well fucking have a good time. And usually by New Year's Day or January 2nd or January 3rd, a lot of people are fucking seriously fucked up, almost like they went to war. I remember feeling that way even when I was really young and in my 20s. Excuse me, sip of coffee time. My body was still super strong. I would still feel sometimes like, man, I'm like dead after the holidays. You gain weight. You've been eating shitty, sugary food. It'd be a real tough kind of slog for anybody getting through the holiday season. So, been noticing some people get through that sort of malaise of being shit-faced by posting on social media like pro-drinking quotes, which is good. I'm a fan of it. Don't get me wrong. But like I was telling a buddy of mine last night, like when I see a friend of mine over posting about like Bukowski or Hunter S. Thompson or something, a little bit of me worries about them. I'm like, ooh, that's like, it's not a great sign. Like when you're really looking to Bukowski and Hunter S. Thompson as like a hero, it's always a sign that someone's sort of slipping into addiction a little bit. To me, that's not necessarily a fact that I'm giving you. Believe it or not, that's not a scientific fact that I'm giving you right now. But what I mean is, it's I don't know, it's hard to explain, but like when I was a shit-faced drunk, I used to always read Bukowski and be like, this guy knows everything. And I'd often read about Winston Churchill as well, because I'd be like, Winston Churchill, the guy was a fucking alcoholic and he drank all day every day, but man, did he get a lot of shit done and save a lot of lives. So what a great man good old Winston Church was, right? But and he was a great man, but Bukowski less so. Great writer, but died a very horrible, slow, lonely death where he was where he was shitting blood and crying and in immense pain. And the death of an alcoholic, especially one as unbelievably bad as Charles Bukowski, is not a good death. The end of the story is brutal and very, very fucked up. And I think if a lot of people knew it, they might take and you know, this is coming off a little bit like drinking is bad. I'm not saying that. Drink away, have a good time drinking, but when it starts to get a little bit too crazy and you start to think about becoming an alcoholic, like you kind of make a choice. You're like, you know what? I'm going to give in. I'm going to give in and do this and become a full-time alkie. Not a good moment. Not a good way to be in life. So just something to think about if you're out there quoting Bukowski all the time. I even kind of made fun of it on Twitter. I used to read this thing a lot when I was drinking, which was called moderndrunkard.com, which was like a blog for alcoholics written by alcoholics, which is just totally validating and enabling to an alcoholic. So I used to like reading that, but when you sort of get your head out of your ass, you're kind of like, what was the point of that shit? It was not doing anything good for me, that's for sure. But I wish Artie Lang the best, and it sucks that he might be spending his holidays in rehab, but I hope not. Sincerely hope not. What else we got? I just saw on the way here to this show a guy with 2 Jeff Dunham fucking puppets. He had 2 Jeff Dunham puppets stuck to the passenger window of his car. I don't know why I can't tell the story. I'm so excited. 2 Jeff Dunham fucking things stuck to his fucking passenger window. Toys. I took a picture of it, put it online saying, man, it's nice to see a fellow comic on the road. Little joke I came up with. But it was interesting to see. It definitely caught my eye. I looked over and I see this fucking these 2 puppets, and I'm like, where do I know those from? And I'm like, oh yeah, those are from a comedy special, Jeff Dunham's comedy special. And then I was like, imagine loving Jeff Dunham so much that you got to buy 2 of those puppets, and then you got to stick them on the inside of your car for everyone you see in traffic to look over and be like, oh, that guy really loves ventriloquism. That guy fucking loves fucking puppets, man. And you know what? I fucking dig that guy for the things he digs. So fuck yeah. Made me think, man. Made me think. Yeah, so what do we got coming up here? I just found out today I'm going to be doing a spot at the CBS Scene in Foxborough on Saturday. It's like the Christmas Eve. So if you're home visiting your family or out in the Foxborough area, that could be a fun hang. I'll probably have a couple of my buddies who aren't comics who are home for the holidays with me, and I think it'll be a fun time. I think it'll be a fun little time out there doing that. But yeah, man, I'm kind of I won't be broke after New Year's Eve because I got a nice gig New Year's Eve, and I'm not broke, but I'm definitely pinching pennies between now and New Year's Eve. So if you'd like to make a contribution to the Will Noonan Fund or the Hypothetically podcast, you're in the giving spirit, you tip your mailman, why not tip your favorite podcaster? Head on over to willnoonan.com and click on the donate button, or in the description of this podcast, there's a link that you can click on that'll take you right there. And any amount is fantastic. And you'll buy me some fucking groceries this year for Christmas. And that would be cool. I was talking to my buddy Paul, my buddy Pat last night. We were having a good old time hanging out, shooting the breeze. And we were talking about like all this sexual harassment stuff. And I fucking feel for these women, and I feel like I just keep talking about this same topic week after week after week on this podcast, but it's just such a big topic right now. It's such a big thing that people are talking about. It's everywhere you look, and I just had this meeting, and we're all men except for there's one female cast member, and I made a joke, like we were all kind of joking and breaking each other's balls, and I was like, no one touch her, no one touch her, and we all laughed, and she laughed too, but in my head, I was like, well, I wonder if that was, even that, I wonder if it was wrong. You know, in the context of what we were all joking about, I think it totally works. You know what I mean? Like, she's cool with it. She's comic and stuff like that. But it did make me, I had like this second kind of thought where I was like, whoa, should I have said that? That may have been like a joke. Are we good enough friends for me to make that joke, you know? So that was sort of something that I thought about. Another thing is, so we were talking about social media. I'm kind of considering getting off Twitter and so all of social media. I'm already pretty much off social media. I have Facebook, but it's a fan page that I control, and I don't really look at that often. And I have Twitter. Instagram, and I have Instagram, but Instagram's pretty easy. Although, excuse me, I'm burping a lot, even though that's kind of become its own thing too, with a lot of messaging and stuff, and a lot of political stuff, even on Instagram. But, God, I got a real case of science teacher acid indigestion right now. Just a lot of coffee today. And I had some V8 vegetable juice. That's probably what it is. Oh, man. So, anywho, what the fuck am I talking about? Sexual harassment, me in a meeting, blah blah blah. Oh yeah. So there was a lot of stuff in the New York Times this Sunday about sexual harassment and about whether or not, you know, all these whistleblowers, and is it gonna stop, or is there gonna be even more, and this and that. And I was reading it, and it was almost an oral history where, like, it was just little tiny mini articles, micro articles by different women, all put in one big article. Some of them I read and I'm going, yeah, you know, good for you. Other ones I read and I'm thinking, holy shit, like, you're contradicting yourself 5 times just in this paragraph. And it's one of the things that scares me about this, and I think there's plenty of guys out there and plenty of podcasters and even comedians out there taking the other angle and just saying, believe all women, and women are great, and I love women. I feel like that goes unsaid. You guys know I love women. I see people more as a person-to-person type thing, and I don't think that a lot of women out there are any better or any worse than a lot of men out there. I think there's assholes in both camps. I think there's different ways. Each side, male and female, uses different ways to be assholes, and different types of manipulation, and different types of punishment, and aggressions and assaults, but both are fucking just as evil as the other. I say that all the time, but really, we as humans are no better. So this comes back to me thinking about giving up social media totally, because, or not totally, but only kind of putting out tweets and putting out Instagrams, but not really looking at the comments or the replies or having the app on my phone, because I really don't give a shit anymore about other people's tweets, almost 99% of the time. Every now and then you see something you want to see, but 99% of the time I don't give a fuck. I just check to see my replies on my shit and then hand it off and you know, deal with that or whatever. But I just think it's a bunch of fucking trash now, and it's not making us any better as a humanity, because I'm reading, or as a human race, because I'm reading these articles in the New York Times, and it is good. It is good that guys like Harvey Weinstein, who are fucking true-ass rapists, are being fucked with. Same with Bill Cosby. Like, I want these guys to be fucking punished, because it shouldn't be, you know, if there's a young comic out there who wants to do that sort of thing, it'd be nice for him to be like, you know what, maybe I won't, because Bill Cosby went down in such fucking flames. Maybe I won't fucking, you know, be a rapist like I want to be, because because people pay for it. So I think that's good too. But the idea of all of these women, every single accuser that exists being a good person or being honest, you can't just believe people without any sort of proof or any sort of due process fact checking. Neil Brennan was talking about this a lot on Joe Rogan Experience about fact checking at the New York Times and how dutiful they are about that, and even they fuck up. He was talking about what's the word? What's the thing I'm trying to think of? Fucking due process, which you get arrested. There's a trial. There's obviously this is murkier waters. You can't arrest someone for sexual harassment, but we need some sort of proof. I don't know if Dustin Hoffman fucking did it or not, but I felt bad for him because I feel like he sort of got accused and hooked into this whole thing. He didn't really have a recollection of anything. He didn't have like 50 accusers coming out. It was kind of just one woman. And I think, just from an outsider looking in, he looked like, listen, I'm going to say I'm sorry, but I don't even know if this even fucking happened. But his agent was like, Dustin, this is going to be the easiest way to just get rid of this fucking thing. And then you won't have to worry about it anymore. Like, don't sweat it, And I think that was probably, he was like, okay, if you say so. And then he puts out this statement, and it gives guys like John Oliver, who has done some good work, don't get me wrong, some great work, but it gives them the opportunity to really like, oh man, like you just teed up me looking like a fucking champion because I can just fight you on the fact that you won't basically prostrate yourself and say like you're a fucking monster in front of this huge crowd when he might not have to. What I'm saying is there's no chance that 100% of the people who are coming forward with sexual harassment claims are telling the truth. There's just no chance. It's not humanity. It's not human beings. It's just not how this animal that we are works. There's liars. There's people who want revenge. I'm sure some of the people who are going against Kevin Spacey are liars. I'm not saying this is just a man-woman thing. I'm sure some of the men with claims against Kevin Spacey are liars. People are just going to lie to get in on shit. People lie for no reason whatsoever. That's once you kind of start thinking about that and start realizing that about life, it makes everything a lot more simple to manage. You're like, you know what? If people lie for no fucking reason at all, why am I getting all excited about this? What the fuck? Man, my phone's been doing so much weird shit lately. It's trying to send everyone on my phone a fucking message right now. Whoo, baby. Whoo, baby. So, what I was talking about was, we were kind of talking about this. I was like, man, if someone I'm not famous enough, but if someone accused me of something, I'd pretty much just have to admit it first, apologize for it, and then kind of go from there, see what happens after that. A lot of people are kind of going through the same thing, I think, and one, all right, there's two things about this that sort of blow my fucking mind. One is people before the internet and before social media, you had to be really bad to kind of be vilified by the rest of humanity. To be a celebrity or to be someone famous who was hated and vilified, you really had to be a bad person. Nowadays, just dressing up in the wrong Halloween costume or tweeting the wrong thing, you can actually get more hatred and more vitriol and more like mean shit said to you in your inbox than O.J. Simpson did when he murdered his fucking wife. At least O.J. was like away from everything in jail. Basically what I was saying to my buddy was the internet has just made us kind of show that we haven't evolved as much as we think we have. Because as soon as we were given the opportunity to drag people out in front of the village and shame them again, which was something we used to do when we were cavemen, as soon as we were given that ability again via social media and the internet, we took it. We did it. We're like, you know what? Fuck this. Like, we have the ability to shame people off of television. We have that power as a group. Let's fucking do it. So what I'm basically saying to you is, I'm not saying, hey man, all these chicks who are reporting sexual harassment are a bunch of lying phonies or something like that. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is I think you should have to, especially now that it's become such a thing, it almost could make a career. We need to have more due process. And that's something I just want to sort of parrot what Neil Brennan said, a guy I don't even usually agree with very often, but it's kind of unfair that if someone says something about you, you have to now apologize and quit, and it's not about whether or not it even happened. It's like, just to do the right thing, you have to apologize and quit, which I think is kind of fucking rough, brah. Kind of fucking rough, man. But I don't fucking know, right? Hold on one sec. I'm back. Had to take a sip of water. I don't know why I paused it for that sip of water when I didn't pause it for like all the other things this time, but I decided it would be a good idea, I think. I don't know. That, you know, it's like here's what I'm really sort of afraid of. Not afraid of, but here's what I think could possibly happen here. If we keep raising the standard of what a celebrity has to be in their personal life, let's not even say celebrity. Let's say entertainer. If we keep raising the standard of what an entertainer has to be in their personal life, we're going to be out of fucking entertainers really fast. Like, entertainers are rarely good people. And I think I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because I think I've made this point before on the podcast. But it's like, holy shit, guys. Like, do you think maybe there's a correlation between the fact that, Daniel Day-Lewis can pretend to be any single person on earth to a T? Do you think that, like, when he's not doing that, he's just like a Mormon walking around, like, feeding ducks, waiting for the next part to come in? It's like, you gotta be kind of weird to be good at this shit. You gotta have some kind of fucking fucked up things about you to be good at this shit. Some people takes form in drugs and alcohol. Other people takes form in rigorous exercise or career obsession. Other people gambling. Other people sex. You know? But a lot of the people in this entertainment business, and not just the creative types, people behind the scenes, a lot of broken people, a lot of sad, or not even sad, but we're all in therapy. Everyone's on meds. Everyone's like barely making it hour to hour without, having a panic attack. And it's funny that now, it used to kind of be movie stars, musicians, comedians, these type of people sort of lived by a different set of rules where they were allowed to kind of be a little crazy because it was like the art was good enough. It was like, you know what? That band fucking makes the roadies like go through all their M&Ms and only take out the green ones. Like, instead of thinking like what a bunch of dicks, people think it's kind of fucking cool, rock and roll, Now the currency is just being cool and easy. And also, it's cool to be pious. It's cool to be like pure, vegan, pro, male feminist, vegan guys. That's cool. Stuff that would have been considered so pussyish and so not mannish is considered cool. So you've got this weird culture where obviously a guy like John Oliver's not going to be like, hey, I'm a fucking vegan hipster pro-feminist. He's not stupid enough to go that far with it, but he knows that he can get some love by taking that, by sort of appealing to those types of people. So I'm seeing a world where it's like, hey man, if you're not, it's not just basic niceness anymore. It's like you got to really be kind of a great person alongside your talent, and I don't think that's going to lead to like the most talented people in the greatest art and the greatest entertainment when people are doing that sort of thing. But I don't know. That's all I'm going to say about it because I got some fucking silly topics that I wanted to talk about. They got nothing to do with anything. They're not about the fucking current news cycles or anything like that. They're just silly goose fucking topics that I didn't get to last week. And we're going to get to them now. And I got like 20 minutes left or so of this podcast. And we're gonna do it. And they're fucking touchy subjects. Autism, first one. I want to talk about autism for a second. I've sort of been thinking maybe that autistic people are actually like mutants that are more evolved. Like, you know how in the X-Men, mutants start to get superpowers, and at first it's like people are like, what a bunch of freaks, something wrong with them, birth defect, you know? But then people realize it's just evolution. Eventually, everyone on Earth will have powers. And that's a comic book, I know. And it's, why do they need superpowers? Because there's going to be supervillains. So we need superheroes to fight the supervillains, right? This is the real world. We don't have that. But what do we have? An ever more sedentary, ever more computer screen based, ever more like ones and zeros, basic Gattaca fucking type life. Like, who is the future looking? Who would have an easier time 10 years in the future if you had a time machine? An autistic guy, maybe? Or just a regular, not autistic dude? I'm thinking maybe the autistic guy. You send him to the future where we all barely leave a computer screen. Everyone needs to know code. Everyone needs to know all these sort of stats. People don't hang out anymore. People don't date anymore. Like, these are all autistic guy qualities. Not good with people. Not good at reading social cues. But great at math. Great at numbers. Great with technology. Robotic like brain, but also robotic type emotion. I'm thinking maybe, obviously, it's evolution, so it's not going to be perfect. You're going to have people who are too autistic, severely nonverbal. You know, that's a different type of autism. It's evolution. We're not going to get it right for 1,000 years. But sometimes when I'm out there running, I'm like, you know what? I only need to do this because I'm basically like a fucking caveman. You know, I'm unevolved. I can't do math. I'm up here talking to people, smiling. My whole life is social cues. And then I'm out there running because I get anxious if I don't. So my fucking body requires me to run, because without it, my dumb caveman brain is like, what do we do with all this energy? So I need to go running. This is unevolved. When I look at an autistic dude, or Asperger's especially, guy's got a good job, and yeah, he's looking all over the place, but smarter than me. Good job. Why? This guy is more evolved. He's winning. You know? It's just going to take the rest of humanity like 1,000 fucking years. But I bet if you like travel into the future, you'd just be like, wow, everyone's fucking autistic. Really high level autistic, but autistic. And so, hey, it's an out there theory. I ain't no scientist. I'm just a comic talking out my fucking ass. But sometimes I wonder that we're trying to treat autism. We're trying to like medicate people, but it seems like it's happening more and more. And a lot of them live like full normal lives. Some people are finding out they're autistic when they're like 40, which I find to be the most hilarious. It's like, well, who even cares at that point, you know? But yeah, the show The Good Doctor has a doctor with diabetes, and everyone, autism. There's probably a zillion doctors with diabetes, but I doubt there's one with autism, like full autism, like this guy has on the show. I'm sure there's Aspergery doctors. I'm sure there's fucking thousands. I think my dad had one of them. But who fucking knows? So is autism evolution? Let me know your thoughts. WillNewtonComedy@gmail.com. I got a couple meter maids looking at me right now. Probably the same two from last week. They might be wondering if I'm sitting here in my car to be nice, or if I'm talking on the phone. Or I often wonder what people probably think when they see me talking into this microphone sitting in my car. Sometimes getting all upset, throwing my hands up in the air, talking about autism is evolution and sober weddings. And oh yeah, sober weddings. That's been another big thing I've been trying to sort of do some stand-up about. I've noticed I fucking hate, that was all right, everything you can do in life that you can do drinking, you can also do not drinking. But going to weddings, they just simply will never be as fun again. I'm sorry, That's one thing you're going to just have to suck it up. And I think women have a harder time with that because they're like, what? I love weddings. Like, it's a day with my boyfriend, and he's a different type of guy at weddings. He's nice. He shows a sensitive side. I love it. Why won't they be fun? And it's because when you're not drunk, you just don't care that much about other people's happiness. Like, you care in a way where you're like, that's nice, but that's as far as you can really go with it. And, you don't want to dance as much. You don't find children as cute. They all just seem the same. That's one thing that really, never kind of... When you first quit drinking, sometimes you can feel a little depressed and things can look a little bit like... Life can have a little bit less shine on it for, a couple months. But then, really quickly, things come back and actually you see things a different way that's even a little bit nicer, a little bit shinier. And you like it. But other times, like with weddings, it just never comes back. You're just like, you know what? This just was never that fun in the first place. Fuck these people. Yeah, you're happy. I'm happy you're happy. It's late. Let's go home. So are my thoughts on wedding. I might just be a dick about weddings. A couple people messaged me about what I said about restaurants last week. So I actually did go back and listen to it. Excuse me. Again to see what I said, and I'll admit I didn't articulate well how I feel about restaurants, because I really don't like restaurants, but the reasons I gave were all kind of stupid. I think I gave some dumbass reasons because I was like, I don't like the way people look at you when you walk into your chair, and I don't like the way people look at your food when you're eating it. And that is true, but those are minor reasons. The real reasons, I love sitting around and talking to people, and I love sitting around even eating and talking to people, but to do it in a restaurant setting is just, it always seems annoying. You can barely hear people. There's the waiter's always interrupting. I'm doing it again. I'm not giving you good reasons. I just don't like it. That's my reason. I'd rather do it in private, at home, at someone's house. I enjoy that a lot more than being in public at a restaurant where everyone's chewing extra loud. That's the other big thing. Hate loud chewing. And I can pick it up like a fucking canine, can pick up drugs with their fucking nose. I can hear someone chewing from 5 tables away when they chew like a retard, and it just drives me crazy. It's just the worst thing people do. I know, I have the reaction to that some people have to cigarette smoke. I obviously don't mind cigarette smoke that much, but I know some people just fucking makes them makes them see red. They want to kill someone when they smell cigarette smoke, and that's kind of how I feel when I hear someone chewing. Makes my palms sweaty, makes me breathe deep. It makes me want to go take the fucking food on their plate and throw it every time. I hate it. Hate it. If there was a medication I could take that would make me not care, I would take it in 1 fucking second. Hate it. So that's probably my number one reason. You're always sitting a little too close in a restaurant. If you get up to stretch your legs, everyone's like, where are you going? It just sucks. One of the reasons why I like cigarette smoking was because I could leave a table at a restaurant 5 times and go fucking not be there. So, and it's not a thing chicks dig. They love restaurants. But I'm kind of a homebody. Which is a weird way to be when you're a stand-up comic, but that's just kind of how I am. I'm out enough. My life is social enough. I don't need to go. I think people who work in offices all day and work in one place all day, it's a fun little exciting thing to go out to a restaurant and be served by people. But for me, it's just kind of I'm always out. I'm always talking to waitresses. I'm always fucking eating restaurant food. This isn't some big thrill to me. In fact, it's just a pain in the ass. So, fuck restaurants, fuck weddings, autism rules. We got 10 more minutes. Another thing was fucking dog people. That's the thing. I love dogs, and I kind of consider myself a dog person, but you gotta draw the line somewhere. I was up in New Hampshire a couple weeks back, and that must have been when I wrote this down. Remember Alan Richardson was doing some fucking jokes, and he had this joke about a dog dying, and it was it was clearly a joke, clearly made up. And these people in the crowd like booed him, and they booed every joke he told after that because they were offended so much about this dog joke that he made. And it made me laugh because I was like, I looked at them and they looked like breeders or dog trainers or something, and that's a different level of dog person. You know, a lot of us love dogs. A lot of us, like are dog people over cat people and stuff like that. But when it comes to like how much, like people who really fucking love dogs, like I heard someone say one time, they were like, I don't eat anything my dog can't eat. That way I don't have to give him any treats. I don't eat it. I don't have to give him. I can give him my food and never have to worry. So basically, if it's not good for dogs, it's not good for me. No onions, no garlic, no chocolate. Like I don't eat anything that dogs can't eat. And I was just like, are you fucking crazy? You're judging your life on a dog's stomach? Fucking insane, man. I mean, I love dogs. Love it. I miss being around one all the time. But I don't know, I'd love to get one. I don't think my current landlord would love it, though. But I would love to get a dog. I think they're the best. But I still always kind of keep the dog sort of human sort of relationship where it is, you know? That's the beauty of a dog. It's someone you can kind of treat like an animal because they are an animal. I don't mean beat them or be mean to them, but when it comes, you feed them dog food and you eat your human food and you give them little bits of it as you see fit because that's who you are. This guy looking for me? This guy just did the Boston thing of like pull up right next to you, stare at you. I shake my head. He drives away. He wants to know if I'm leaving this spot. Saw porno a couple weeks ago. I made a note about it was a gangbang, Czech gangbang. I think they're the best. The Czechs of former Czechoslovakia, they know how to make a gangbang porno. And I was watching one, and it was one of the weirdest ones I'd ever seen. It was outdoors, and this guy at some point runs over and puts a GoPro camera on one of the girls who was getting gangbanged on her head. And then, like, another minute later, another hand comes in. I couldn't tell if it was a female hand or a male hand. Another hand comes in and rips the GoPro off her head. So the GoPro footage is never included in the pornography. So someone was of right mind to just never even fucking look at what that was. But it made me it was very interesting to me. I was like, is anyone watching a gangbang going, man, I really wish I could see this from the chick's perspective? Maybe chicks. So maybe there's another video out there on like a porno site just for women from the girl's perspective. But the GoPro was not on there very long. Someone ripped it off like there's like, I don't even know how many fucking guys are there. And someone ripped it off her head as if to say like, who wants to see that? Made me laugh, man. Also, these Czech gangbangs, man, like I can't help but look at the dudes because there's like 100 of the dudes. And they all different ages and weights and like sizes, but there's like some straight up old men there, like, you know, in their 60s, 70s, and there's also some young dudes. And I'm thinking they must know each other, and even if they're wearing masks or not wearing masks, some of them, they gotta be from at least the same neighborhood or the same city. It must be so weird. Like some of these guys are old men. They look like they work at a general store, you know, like just sweet old guys, and they're sitting there like 5 dudes usually fuck the chick at once, and then there's the other dudes stand around and jerk their soft penises. It's like the saddest thing. I could never participate in a real gangbang, but I've watched plenty. as I think many of us have these days. I first heard that term on the Howard Stern show. Gangbangs were rare, but now they're everywhere. And they're even trying new things like GoPros and stuff. But I found that to be very interesting. And also the old man thing was interesting. I was like, who are these sweet old men of the gangbang world? I'd watch a documentary just about them.
Yeah, my name's Fred Johnson, and yep, I like to softly pull on my Johnson. I've been gangbanging for 55 years. I'm 72. I started in my 20s, used to be at the front of the gangbang, you know, sticking my dick right in the girl's face. But, you know, I'm an older guy now, so I wait my turn. I let the young guys do their thing, and, you know, right at the end, I like to run over and just spray a little bit of jizz. I haven't sprayed in a long time, no, to be honest. I let it dribble out. But the boys, they give me my space because I was there in the old days when we just had 16mm cameras, and the girls weren't as willing. They were prisoners.
Wait a minute, are you saying you used to kidnap women back in the day and do this to them?
Yes, I am.
Come with us, sir. You're going to jail for life.
Oh my God, what have I done?
That got dark. That improv with myself got dark. I have no one to blame but myself. I noticed lately that it's getting a lot worse everywhere you go with the Plenty card or the discount card or whatever. You go to a place and they're like, will you use our little card that we sell? Will you buy our little fucking shit card to use that here? Because, like, it used to be shit was on sale, and now it's only on sale for certain people. You know, I'm realizing I shouldn't have saved this topic for last because it's, like, the lamest topic. I went from sober weddings to people who have dogs, autism being evolution. Then I'm talking about fucking gangbangs. And then I'm like, you know, and just gangbangs aside, I'm getting a little sick of my Rite Aid Plenty Rewards card in the process. But I fucking hate that process. I know everyone does. I know it's a lot of hacky stand-up about this fucking bit. But I'm sick of it, man. I'm sick of dealing with these motherfuckers. I just want to buy my shit. I want one card for everywhere. One card that gives me a discount everywhere, you know? But instead, I got to get a different one. And now my keychain's starting to look like I'm a fucking soccer mom with all these barcodes on it. And I don't fucking like it. Don't like it one bit. All right, I got to go before I'm late for this motherfucking show. I got to get there at least 15 minutes early. But anyway, thank you guys for listening to the podcast this week. If you feel like donating, this would be a great week to do it. But if not, I totally understand. We're all broke for the holidays. CDs, T-shirts, all available at willnoonan.com. Podcast is now available on Spotify. Everyone who's coming from Spotify, thank you very much. I'm happy you're listening. And remember, if no one told you they love you today, I do. Peace out. Testing. Testing. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 test. Testing 1 2 3 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 testy 1 2 3 1 2 3. Good morning. Hope you guys can hear that fucking truck. Good morning. 3 2 1